Hello there, it's 10 p.m. in Banjul. We're broadcasting live to bring you the news. Here are the headlines. Government launches a paper on the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, which accepts prosecution of former President Yahya Jammeh for countless of crimes committed during his 22 years in power. The new Minister of Works, Ibrahim Astila, continues his countrywide tour to examine major road construction works ahead of the OIC summit in the Gambia. Plus, the National Environment Agency and partners discuss interventions of the Global Climate Change Alliance Project as government amplifies efforts to tackle climate change. In sports, the minister says efforts by the government to develop the first National Sports Act are at an advanced stage. Away from home, 21 people, including 19 children, died in the Texas school shooting. The suspect, an 18-year-old boy, was killed during exchange of firearms with police. But that's the top of the news and much more coming ahead. With me, Fatu Elika Maloshi. Many thanks for joining us. Welcome to the news in detail. It's great to have you here. Now, the government on Wednesday launched a white paper on the report of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, TRRC, coming after the release of the Commission's final report in December 2021. The TRRC was established by President Adama Barrow as part of his government's transitional justice process to establish accurate historical record of events, including alleged atrocities under exiled ex-President Jammeh's rule. Alajimbai has more.
White paper on the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission represents government's position on the implementation of the recommendations in the TRRC report. In his statement, the Minister of Justice, Dauda Jallow, disclosed that government has accepted to implement all recommendations except two.
In its scope and content, out of 265 recommendations made by the Commission, the government made only 2 outright rejections, leaving the rest of the recommendations earmarked for implementation in one form or another. An acceptance rate of over 95% or more, all recommendation is unprecedented in the history of Truth Commissions.
The Justice cited sexual and gender-based violence, enforced disappearances, and murder as some of the most common abuses in the report.
During this review, it has come clear that sexual and gender-based violence, SGV, was a recurring theme in human rights abuses and violations committed between 1994 and 2017. Of particular concern to government is the alarming number of enforced disappearances that occurred under the direction of the former President Jammeh, and the continuous suffering of the families who up till this day are unaware of the whereabouts of their loved ones or their remains.
He acknowledged the importance of reparations and improving the welfare of victims.
The government takes cognizance of the fact that reparations are a central part of the reconciliation process and is committed to ensuring life-transforming reparations are provided to victims of these human rights violations. For reparations to be effective, it must, in addition to monetary compensation, extend to physical rehabilitation, restoration of civil and political rights, and the provision of education and health care for victims.
The spokesperson of the Gambia government, Ibrahim G. Sankare, said the white paper was prepared through a broad-based consultative and inclusive process.
In preparing this white paper, the government of the Gambia opted for a broad-based consultative and inclusive process so as to get the widest views possible, including the views of persons with disabilities and traditionally marginalized groups. The government carried out certain key interim measures. In the area of accountability, the government initiated the criminal proceedings against 9 former NIA top brass for the murder of Solo Sandeng and the torture of some supporters of the United Democratic Party, UDP. Judgment is expected to be delivered in that case in due course. The government also initiated criminal proceedings and secured a guilty verdict against Yankuba Toure for the murder of Usman Koro Sise.
Family members of the victims, including Ami Silla, daughter of lawyer Osman Silla, and Aissatou Jammeh, daughter of late Haruna Jammeh, described the white paper as a promising start for justice.
We want to get to the bottom of it, and this is a very promising start. So hopefully we'll get to where we need to get to. But the trauma is still there. Some faces still there, like he said. We're waiting to see how early and how much of the termination of some of those that are still in the government. That really interests me a lot.
I think for me, for the amnesty, from the onset, I had an issue with the amnesty because amnesty, the TRRC accepting application for amnesty because the amnesty wasn't publicized, it wasn't open as the reparations process. Even civil society working with victims are not even aware of those people who applied for amnesty.
The Justice Minister also held a press conference where he answered questions from reporters on all issues related to the white paper. The TRRC sought, among other things, to promote healing and reconciliation, respond to the needs of victims and address impunity, and prevent a recurrence of the violations and abuses suffered by victims. Alajimbai, GRTS News.
And now, the new Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, Ibrahim Silla, continued his nationwide tour of institutions under his purview, in which he took time to inspect major road construction works in the Greater Banjul area and the West Coast region. Aminata Isanyang is with the tour party and filed in this report.
Another busy day for the Transport and Works Ministry, as Honorable Minister Ibrahim Silla and his entourage continued the familiarization tour to various project sites. Minister Silla visited construction sites in the Greater Banjul area as government moves to build new roads connecting major sections in the metropolis. Workers sought the Minister of Quality and Standard Works to mitigate flooding.
We expect that after relocation of services, the progress of work will be better. This is the issues for number one. So, but the contractor is almost fully mobilized on site. Yes, we are just facing the problem of the relocation of services and the expropriation. Yes.
Minister Silla called on the contractors to expedite the process as the rainy season fast approaches.
Progress would have been far ahead of what we witnessed today if it were not for these relocation activities. But evidently, we can say that the contractors are doing a tremendous job and the consultants. But that notwithstanding, we will continue to work with them to ensure that they step up so that the upcoming rainy season will not be, a kind of like a deterrent to the continuation of some of the works.
The tour party proceeded to West Coast region, where the transport minister was received by Governor Lamin Sane as officials explored the ongoing construction of the Willinkama Road, which has been a burden for road users. A landmark development arrives for the people of Brufut. What used to be a difficult challenge for commuters finally sees the light of the day. The construction of the Brufut Road by the government ushers in a new dawn in this part of the West Coast region. The construction of the OIC Road is underway. The AU Summit Highway is a massive edifice designed to withstand heavy traffic. Its construction is geared towards improving the highway network towards a robust transport system to resolve traffic hurdles. As part of his tour, Transport and Works Minister Ibrahim Silla and his entourage visited the Banjul International Airport, where work is rapidly progressing in the construction of a new VIP lounge with advanced technology. The minister toured various sections of the lounge whilst engaging workers. The governor of the West Coast region, Lamin Sane, expressed delight in the progress of various projects reshaping the West Coast region.
To see such a massive development in the West Coast region. If you can recall, in 2017, the president made a proclamation of the National Development Plan that by 2023 or so, Kenya is going to transform tremendously. And I think this is a good sign that we are seeing, because since in the morning, we've trekked up to Brufut end to see the trunk road in Brufut, that connects up to Banyaka, up to Jambur, and to Jereng. And now we are here at this main highway that definitely is going to be a sort of a very high boost for the country.
Minister Silla proceeded to the Brikama market, where 88 stores are being constructed after recent market fires.
$10 million in this project to build about, I think, 80 stores, which, when completed, will be fitted with modern technology and also infrastructure. And the facility, as you can see, is also fitted with a hydrant, which means that, may God forbid, even if there should be a similar incident as we witnessed previously, the fire services, the fire and rescue services should be able to quickly mobilize and then do the needful to put out the fire.
The minister also visited the women fish market, which is seriously affected by poor sewage and drainage systems. Day 2 of the familiarization tour availed the minister the opportunity to engage and discuss with workers and contractors implementing various projects. Aminata E. Sanyang, GRTS.
Now, the Medical Research Council, MRC, the Gambia, on Tuesday inaugurated a new clinical facility at Banjulinding Health Center to amplify the government's access to quality healthcare service delivery across the country. The ceremony was graced by health officials, development partners, and community elders. Baba Silla has the details.
75 years of operation in the country, the MRC has contributed significantly in providing basic healthcare services to different communities in the country, including this newly inaugurated facility. The center, which is selected out of 36 villages in the Combo North, will provide clinical service to the communities in these catchment areas. The officer in charge of the health center and the regional health team representative described the intervention as a well-timed move by a genuine partner.
It's only genuine relationship that lasts that long. If MRC wasn't genuine, we wouldn't have them all that long here. Well before independence, they're still here. That shows how hardworking they are. When we look behind, we see that big edifice there. Well, this would really add value to what we do, and then of course it will improve on the infrastructure we have as a health facility.
The representative from UNICEF and the Ministry of Health commended the MRC for such a gesture, while calling on the government and partners to intensify community interaction for better health delivery.
This event is all about adhering to the basic core values of community engagement, creating an intersection of open spaces and channels for citizens' empowerment, collective action, and participation with government mechanisms to bring about positive change. I would like to encourage all partners and government to reinforce community engagement activities with the inclusion and participation of adolescents, youth, and other community leaders, and that has been manifested here today with MRC, and that's they've been doing over the years.
The contribution of MRC cannot be underestimated, because if you look at the health system delivery, the government alone cannot do it, and we need participation from the community members, UN partners, and people like MRC. MRC has been contributing our human resources and also technical assistance to the Ministry of Health, and including research, because you cannot do any intervention if you don't do any research.
Professor Asange of MRC, while delivering his inaugural speech, assured the institution's commitment in fulfillment of its mandate for better healthcare delivery.
This is our role. We cannot work alone. We have to work with the Ministry of Health in order to fulfill our own mission. And we are proud that this is being increasingly recognized and strengthened. Getting this building is nothing but a pride for Banjunding community, because it's their own, it's not MRC's own. So, and we want to share that ethos of ownership, that shared ownership, because without that shared ownership, research will not be able to be done effectively.
The ceremony was interpassed with cultural performance by a local drama group before the official opening and round tour of the facility. Bawasila, GRTS.
And now to news just in. The Office of the President informs the general public that His Excellency President Adama Barrow will join fellow African leaders in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, for the 16th Ordinary or Extraordinary Summit of the African Union on Terrorism and Unconstitutional Change of Government in Africa. President Barrow and his delegation will depart from the Banjul International Airport on Thursday, 25 May 2022 at 10 a.m. The summit, which will be held from 25 to 28 May, will seek to draw a continental agenda to prevent and counter the scourges of terrorism and the unconstitutional means of change of government on the continent. The summit is preceded with sessions by heads of various security and intelligence units from countries around the continent. President Barrow will proceed on a two-day walking visit after the summit. And now moving on, the three-day training in internal quality assurance and study program to help develop the country's higher education institutions is underway in Banjul. Senabu Janjane has more on the innovative dialogue, also graced by stakeholders.
Institution of this three-day training, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Herbert Robinson, said they've added 5 quality assurance officers to improve UTG's internal systems.
Now, it's important at UTG, we've set out very clearly the emphasis. Quality is not only about curriculum development. Quality is not only about teaching experience in the classroom. Quality is multidimensional. At UTG, our emphasis is on the 6 S. The students' experience, staff development and welfare, space, both physical and digital, sustainable financing, system for managing performance, and stakeholder engagement. Now, if you look at the first S, what does it do to quality? The student experience, you start at the beginning, strengthening the screening and selection of candidates. That's where you start. Screening and select. That's the admission process to the end point, to enhance quality.
The principal of the Gambia College, Abubakar Jallo, touched on some issues pertaining to service delivery earmarked to harness teaching and learning.
And as a transforming institution, we will obviously be knocking on doors of all the institutions so as to buttress our drive for quality delivery at the Gambia College. Those of you coming from the college and those who will be looking keenly at the Gambia College progress through the transition phase, that the college administration will do everything humanly possible to make sure that quality assurance becomes everybody's business.
Deputy Director General of the Management Development Institute, Fatou Barry, dilated on the importance of the training to the provision of enhanced dispensation of knowledge, skills, and attitude.
At MDI, we take quality assurance very, very key, very important in our business. We have a quality assurance committee. Two of the members of that quality assurance are part of the participants, and I am sure they will share knowledge with other participants present here, and at the same time learn and bring back to the institution to share with those of us who are not fortunate to be part of this training.
Partners from the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry joined the training to share their expectations of employers from graduates of tertiary and higher institutions. As the flagship bearer of the country's higher education, research, science and technology ministry, Professor Pierre Gomez presided over the opening ceremony of the three-day intellectual forum.
To further develop quality assurance landscape, MOHAS, in collaboration with partners, made policy pronouncement that ensures quality tertiary and higher education systems across the country as enshrined in the Higher Education Policy 2014-2023. The Sector-Wide Education Policy 2016-2030 and the Gambia TVET Policy 2021-2030. Other bilateral and multilateral collaboration include the UNESCO Shenzhen project, which aims at institutionalizing quality assurance in tertiary and higher education institutions to produce graduates that are equipped with employable and transferable skills for the global market.
Professor Gomez enjoined participants to take the training seriously. Zainabu Jane for GRTS News.
Now, a move to help mitigate challenges of coastal and marine environment in the Gambia. The National Environment Agency and partners have been discussing the interventions of the Global Climate Change Alliance project funded by the European Union. Majan Bayo reports the project aims to support the most vulnerable developing countries to improve their ability to deal with the challenges brought about by climate change.
Climate change on our environment continues to raise concern among experts in the area of environment and marine, particularly officials of the National Environment Agency responsible for the implementation of GCCA Plus project in the Gambia. The project coordinator, GCCA Plus, Haruna, said it's a 3-year project and this is the 7th meeting it is convening to find ways and means of ensuring integrated management of coastal and marine resources is achieved in the Gambia based on the impact of climate change and also the negative impact of human activities on our coastal zone, including sand mining, which all necessitate the implementation of the project.
There is also an IZZM management bill that have been drafted, and this project GCCA Plus has come to ensure that these documents are finalized and the bill is enacted at the level of the National Assembly.
For the technical assistant team leader GCCA Plus project, Catherine Kennedy, they have been doing some local sensitization, adding that they are working on a database to access NEA and a barrister on marine science to ease the implementation of the project.
I'm in the process, and it is an administrative process of putting in place a series of specialist positions, one of which is a piece of database work to assist NEA.
The program manager and head of Coastal and Marine Environment Program, Lamin Koma, stressed the need to partner with the necessary stakeholders to approach the challenges and technical understanding to tackle issues affecting the environment.
The CME, that's the Coastal and Marine Environment Program of the country, is seriously under threat, and this threat is due to both natural and anthropogenic activities.
Participant Ma Marinjai emphasized on the ban on plastics in the Gambia as the nation remains polluted due to the illegal importation of plastics in the country. She further urged everyone to take personal responsibility in addressing the issues surrounding environmental pollution.
Everyone should take a personal responsibility. When you know, oh, I shouldn't litter, this is the effect, this is the impact
on the environment, then little by little, that goes a long, long, long way.
The 41 participants were availed the opportunity to discuss and figure out ways and means of successfully implementing the 3 years GCC A+ Climate Resilient Coastal and Marine Zone project for the Gambia, and are looking forward to better approach in addressing the challenges. Majan Barrow for GRTS News.
Well, Gambian businessman Abubakari Jawara has urged the youth to strive hard towards achieving their dreams and contribute meaningfully to the development of the country. The multinational investor was speaking at a ceremony where he was conferred honorary degree in business management and humanity. MS Jala has more on the event, attended by government officials and distinctive personalities from within the sub-region.
This recognition for top Gambian businessman and philanthropist Abubakari Jawara, a honorary doctorate degree for the Chief Executive Officer of GAD Global conferred by St. Solomon University of Benin, joins the list of awards and accolades recognizing Mr. Jawara's contributions to the socio-economic advancement of the African continent. The honorary degree was awarded to the investor by officials of the St. Solomon University at a colorful ceremony attended by family members, business partners, friends, and distinguished personalities from the Gambia and Senegal. The business magnate and top executive who established GAD Global Group also set up the Abubakari Jawara Foundation to support his ambitions for improved welfare and livelihoods for the vulnerable communities across the Gambia. Joined several top African business leaders to bag the honorary award from Benin's Superior Institute of Management and Technology.
Each generation is the product of its own time, confronted with sets of challenges. We need people who are ready to move the continent to the next stage of development. We need a collective vision that describes the kind of future we want to create for Africa. As part of our advocacy, ISMC St. Solomon has met with African leaders and philanthropists like Dangote of Nigeria, Mr. Ajavong of Benin Republic, Dr. Yakizi Wadusa of Ethiopia, Dr. Deidman Eyakilumi of Nigeria, and our amiable Dr. Abubakari Jawara of the Gambia. It is our belief that African prosperity can only come from the widespread of educational empowerment.
Now, Dr. Abubakari Jawara, the Gambia-Sarah-born businessman, described the recognition as both humbling and gratifying as he advances effort to impact people and communities.
And then my people come from Benin, I really thank them. And then this is all about Africa. Here, no anything is about Africa. We need to support each other. I remember last time when I met you, you told me, Mr. Jawara, I want to give you this honorary to delegate, to present my delegation in university because of your philanthropist. And I want all Africa to come in one boat, to know each other. We work together and then we can change Africa.
The Fun Field Night was culturally memorialized by performances from top Gambian and Senegalese musicians as guests dined and wined to the beat of melodious Afro-Manding lyrics, celebrating one of the Gambia's leading businessmen and philanthropists. GRTS News.
And to the Lower River region, where the National Women Farmers Association, NAWFA, has concluded a 3-day training for facilitators and supervisors of adult learning literacy. The training is designed to help participants read and write in their own local languages. Usman Balde reports the seminar is funded by the Roots Project.
According to organizers, NAWFA was established in the country with the objectives of promoting social and economic empowerment of women farmers through production, processing, and marketing of agricultural produce, advocacy, and functional literacy.
We did an assessment many years ago, and we came to find out that we gave 3 priority needs. Need number 1 is to increase food production and productivity to address the issue of poverty. The second need is functional literacy because 90% of our membership are non-literate. They are illiterate. So they cannot read, neither read or write. So therefore, we took it as another third assessment, another third component is the land issue. Women of this country they have access to land, but do not normally own land. So these are our three priorities. This is why today we are here to address the issue of illiteracy.
The Executive Director of NAFA, Mr. Njega B. Jawo, further dilated on the importance of the forum
to ensure that the women we work with, they can read and write in their own languages. That would go a long way in helping them to understand what the production, the agronomic practice they're doing, from the value chain activities they're doing, like from seed to seed. They'll be able to know what they're doing. They'll be able to write. They'll be able to read. They'll be able to weigh their produce. They'll be able to read the clock. They will be able to use the mobile phone and communicate with each other.
After completing the training, organizers explained that each of these participants is expected to train 25 other women in their respective villages to enable them also read and write in their own language. Usman Balde, GRTS News.
Now, Gambian children with heart diseases continue to benefit from free surgery and medication thanks to the ML Heart Foundation and its Turkish partners. Another batch of children are currently in Turkey, and founder of the charity, Modulamin Kamara, is in Turkey to see the progress in the treatment. Modulamin Kamara, a former data entry clerk at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital in Banjul, who abandoned his job to serve life, said he will not rest until he sees the Gambia as a country where children enjoy buoyant childhood life free of heart complications. And in the Central River region, farmers are benefiting from the private sector access to land for rice production training. The tutorial is convened by the National Farmers Platform in partnership with the Rice Value Chain Transformation Project. Mudla Misane has the details.
The National Farmers Platform have again gathered to hold a dialogue on important issues that seeks to improve rice production. The three-day interface brought together several farmers from Central and Upper River regions through a close partnership between the association and the Rice Value Chain Transformation Project.
Convergence is we are trying to gauge because we've brought in about 30 farmers. There's going to be a bigger forum, bigger than this, when we will bring in the chiefs, the governors of the two regions, and many stakeholders together, where we will have to discuss ways and means of allowing private sector to get access to rice cultivation in these two regions.
A sensitization program that created a platform for the association and officials to share ideas.
We are not coming to a conclusion. We discuss as farmers. After our discussion, we'll be able to pick certain individuals among these farmers who are very important in their own areas, in their localities. They are all important, but we're going to pick some people who will be representing us at that bigger forum where we'll be discussing how these private sectors can get access to land.
The idea is of great importance to agri officials moving to improve yield and close the gap of rice importation.
When we say land, we don't mean about 0.5 or 1 hectare. We're talking about 20 hectares above, so as that those people can be practice and go into large-scale production. That's what we are today, and I think it's vital, and I think it's in line with government thinking under the new dispensation with the leadership of the President, Adama Barrow, that agriculture development is his priority. Therefore, if it is a priority of the government have the political will and the policy objective and the drive to make sure private sector participates in the production.
Farmers participating in this forum are given the chance to share ideas that will enable the National Farmers Platform to jointly map out strategies with the Rice Value Chain Transformation Project to support farmers. Mudlamin Sane reporting for GRTS News from the Central River region.
Well, I mean, then with that, we take our first break. The sports news is up next. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, efforts by the government to develop the first National Sports Act are at an advanced stage. Bakari Baji, the sports minister, disclosed to GRTS's Famara Baji. Minister Baji was updating the press on the state of the renovation works at the Kafuta Mini Stadium, sponsored by the government, after witnessing the Kafuta League final between Aston Villa and Neyman United played at the field. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, well, as you can see, the project is actually at an advanced stage. It's definitely delayed. By now, we should have handed over the project to the community. But last year, there was a lot of delays in the process, partially, well, the greater part based on the contractors and their delay. But they have come back to start work as of last month. So you can see the perimeter fence is done. And behind us, we have the change rooms, which are also done. And, they're supposed to put the borehole is already done. So what is left now is just to do the inner part, which is the Bahama grass and the chain fence link, and that should be done. So we're hoping that before they know it, and this year, which is in July, this project will be handed over to the community.
You are into your second term as a minister. I mean, what are some of the plans, the pipeline for the youths?
Well, the plans, one is to continue the infrastructural work. Currently, we're doing 5 similar things like this, and they're all to be completed by June or July at the latest time. Now, the other issues is the legal instruments. We know that the country has never had a sport act, so we're in the process, actually already develop it through the work of a consultant to have the first national sport act for the country that regulates all the sporting associations and everything, the sporting activities. And the same thing applies with the youth. But again, we know our teams are doing well, especially football. We want to develop the same thing with regard to basketball. At least for the last 7 years, 8 years, the country has not had a basketball team. So we're developing together with the GBA, Gambia Basketball Association, to develop the national basketball team, and same thing with volleyball and all the other athletics. But again, we are employing full-time coaches for basketball, for volleyball, and for athletics. All of this is meant to ensure that our sports is at a professional level, and there are people that are fully dedicated to do that from morning to evening, and all they will be doing is to focus on developing these sports. No, the advice is for them to exercise discipline as much as possible. I mean, we see a little bit of crisis here among the young people. The team that lost is not willing to accept. But that's one thing about the spirit of foot sports. If you're a good sports person, you know you're supposed to accept win, but also accept defeat. You know, that's one thing. So we'll encourage the young people to always be disciplined. And it's not just about sports. There are some other areas that young people can venture into. Businesses there, young people can get into that. They can get into the schools building, developing their skills and their trade, and quite a number of things. So our interest as a government, as a ministry, is to see a productive sector, a productive youth base that is going to propel the development of this country. And that cannot happen unless young people are willing to take up responsibilities and are willing to educate themselves and are willing to learn.
Well, Youth and Sports Minister there, Bakari Baji. With that, we go for another quick break. We'll be back with news from beyond our borders in just a moment. Stay. Now, 19 children and 2 adults died in the Texas school shooting in America on Tuesday. In his address to the nation, President Joe Biden says, quote, "As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? When in God's name are we going to do what has to be done?" America's President Joe Biden asked, "Why are we willing to live with this carnage?" France 24 has more.
Willing to live with this carnage. Why do we keep letting this happen? Where in God's name is our backbone to have the courage to deal with it and stand up to the lobbies? It's a time to turn this pain into action. For every parent, for every citizen in this country, we have to make it clear to every elected official in this country, it's time to act. It's time for those who obstruct or delay or block the common sense gun laws. We need to let you know that we will not forget. We can do so much more. We have to do more.
I had to go out to those families who lost their children there in the shooting. And that does it for this edition of GRTS News. But before we take leave of you, here's a quick look at our top stories once again. Government has launched a paper on the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, which accepts prosecution of former President Yahya Jammeh for countless of crimes committed during his 22 years in power. The new Minister of Works, Ibrahim Asila, has continued his countrywide tour to examine major road construction works ahead of the OIC summit in the Gambia. Plus, the National Environment Agency and partners have been discussing interventions of the Global Climate Change Alliance project as government amplifies efforts to tackle climate change. The Sports Minister has said that efforts by the government to develop the first National Sports Act are at an advanced stage. Away from home, 21 people, including 19 children, have died in the Texas school shooting. The suspect, an 18-year-old boy, was killed during exchange of firearms with the police. Well, that's it for tonight's bulletin. It's been myself, Fatuli Kamaloshi, and from the entire news team, thanks for the pleasure of your company. Stay with GRTS for more interesting programs.
Assalamu alaikum mbolo mi. Ñidi